Then now Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the 2023 Texas Bowl matchup between the Texas A&M Aggies and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Two teams that have had surprising seasons in their own ways this year. You got Texas A&M 7-5 on the season. Feels like the Aggies have just been underachieving year after year. And so this team fired Jimbo Fisher. It's on to a new era in Texas A&M. But first, they're taking on Oklahoma State in the Texas Bowl. And the Cowboys are a team that is very much different than Texas A&M. That this has been one of the surprise teams of the season. This is a 9-4 team that competed for a Big 12 title. When you looked at this team this past offseason and you saw the inexperience and you saw what this team was working with, it's honestly incredible seeing how Oklahoma State performed this season and made it to a Big 12 title. But with that, we'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. Texas A&M lost to LSU 30-42 to finish out the regular season and what was a roller coaster of a regular season for this team. You consider quarterback situation, starting with Connor Weigman. He gets injured out for the season. Then to Max Johnson and now to Jalen Henderson. This team is on their third quarterback and obviously onto their interim head coach with Jimbo Fisher being fired in November. So it's been roller coaster for Texas A&M, but this team is 7-5. Honestly, this is a team that is more talented than 7-5. I mean, I know they're a 5-loss team, but it just feels like this is a team that can perform at a much higher level than 7-5. They've also taken a couple of really tough, close losses to good football teams, so you can also consider that as well. This team just didn't get it done in a few of those really close games. But for Oklahoma State, they lost to Texas 21-49. The fact Oklahoma State was even in a Big 12 title game is pretty impressive for the Cowboys. I mean, once again, you consider where this team was this past offseason, having Alan Bowman as their quarterback, and I mean, obviously the inexperience of this team as well. To see the Cowboys perform as well as they did is definitely something that shouldn't go unnoticed, and I feel like this coaching staff deserves a lot more credit for what they have done. Because, I mean, this was a team that was 2-2 in September. They lost to South Alabama 7-33. And then lost to Iowa State by a touchdown, which at that time, Iowa State was looking like the worst team in the Big 12, it seems. So, I mean, for Oklahoma State to make a run like they did in October and into November, really impressive what the Cowboys have done this season, even though they got blown out pretty badly to Texas in the Big 12 title game. But this is a 9-win team, ranked 20th in the country. Games will be on Wednesday the 27th in Houston. Kickoff is 9 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going Texas A&M by 2. So the Aggies a slight favorite in this matchup, which doesn't really surprise me. I feel like this is a game, though, that is as close as it gets. This should be a pretty competitive game. Really could go either way with this one. Over under 53.5. FPI is going Texas A&M, though, pretty heavily. The FPI has been really questionable this bowl season, honestly. I mean, 72% towards the Aggies is way heavier than it should be. For your bowl history, Texas A&M 20-22 overall. A lot of bowl games for both teams in their histories. Texas A&M hasn't been in a game since 2020, though, which kind of surprised me. Obviously, I think their 2021 game was canceled because of COVID issues. Last season, this team didn't even make it to a bowl game. I don't even know why Jimbo was allowed back to this team in 2022. I mean, this was a 5-7 team last year. With all the talent that this team was working with as well, to go 5-7, just terrible. But for Oklahoma State, 21-12 overall, they have been in bowl games each of the past 3 seasons. They lost to Wisconsin in the Guarantee Rate Bowl last season, but won the Fiesta Bowl back in 2021 and also the Cheez-It Bowl back in 2020. Your stat comparison: Texas A&M is all around a balanced team that is really, I mean, this is a really talented team. I mean, and the stats really show that. 20th in points per game, 29th in points allowed. 40th in passers game, 82nd in rush yards. So you could say maybe this is a stronger team defensively. They're 21st in pass defense, 16th in rush defense. But really both sides of the ball have been generally good for this team this season. They've had really impressive games on offense, and they've also had really impressive games on defense. It's just a matter of getting both sides of the ball to click in the same game. But as for Oklahoma State, 46th in points per game, 95th in points allowed. I will say about Oklahoma State, this is a 9-4 team, but based on the way their defense has played, especially in the last month of action, it was pretty bad. After that OU win, 27-24, this team allowed 45 to UCF, 30 to Houston, 34 to BYU, then 49 to Texas in the Big 12 title game. So this defense hasn't been very impressive in the later parts of the season, even though, I mean, you could say in October they were playing at a pretty high level. But otherwise, this is the 121st ranked pass defense, 104th ranked rush defense in the country. Your recent matchups: Texas A&M lost LSU 30-42, but beat Abilene Christian 38-10, and beat Mississippi State 51-10. So that Mississippi State game especially was really where this team shined. They lost Ole Miss by 3. There's one of those close losses there. Beat South Carolina by 13. But if you look before that, this team was in it against Alabama, a team who's now in the college football playoff. Lost to them by 6, and obviously lost to Tennessee, another talented team, by a touchdown. So, and obviously the Ole Miss game. So even if you flip 1 or 2 of those games, I feel like this season, especially 2 of those, which you could have definitely won 2 of them, this is a much different season for Texas A&M at this current point. But for Oklahoma State, lost to Texas 21-49, wins over BYU and Houston. 2 teams that weren't really that good this season, but and obviously that Oklahoma game was huge because OU had a better record overall versus Oklahoma State. OU was 10-2 this season. Oklahoma State was 9-3, but obviously that win over OU put Oklahoma State into the Big 12 title game. So obviously huge for Oklahoma State there, but overall an impressive season for Oklahoma State, especially considering the way this team started the year. Texas A&M 7-5, Max Johnson gone. He's obviously headed to North Carolina, so he's not playing, but Jalen Henderson is a starting quarterback. We haven't really seen too much of him, but based on what we've seen in the LSU game, overall this offense was pretty impressive. It was just the defense couldn't hold LSU at all. But Elijah Robinson is the interim head coach. Obviously, Mike Elko is the new head coach coming in from Duke, which I think is overall a really good hire. I mean, for Mike Elko to do what he did at Duke, I mean, that's definitely something that's been impressive the past couple of seasons. So this team is in a pretty good position now. I mean, Jimbo Fisher, I mean, he won a national title, but I don't know. Jimbo Fisher shouldn't have even been around for this season, I feel like. But the Aggies are better than the record shows. I really do believe that. This is a 5-loss team, but honestly, they're talented enough, and they very well could have been at least a 9-win team this season. But as for Oklahoma State, after a dim 2-2 start, this team has found a way. Honestly, after their 2-2 start, it seemed like the expectations were right for Oklahoma State, that this was just a team in a rebuild phase, not going to be very good. But the way this team, they beat Kansas State, beat Kansas, went to West Virginia, beat them, and then obviously that led to the Oklahoma win. For this team to be 7-2 heading into November after their 2-2 start and what was a pretty tough October, really impressive what the Cowboys have done. Now, obviously, Ole Bowman, he is a huge name, very significant for this offense. He's ran for 1,600 yards, over 1,600 yards this season, 20 touchdowns. That's a key factor in this matchup for Texas A&M is going to be stopping Gordon. If they can do that, they honestly should win this game because Gordon has just had so much success this year. And Alan Bowman is a halfway decent quarterback. I mean, there's too many turnovers, though. He's thrown 12 picks this season against 13 touchdowns. So, I mean, Bowman's had a halfway decent season, though, so you got to give him credit. But obviously the turnovers have been a bit of an issue. But another thing you got to consider, too, is this defense has not been very impressive down the stretch, like in November. Defense was not very good. It was okay in October. That was probably the best month for this defense. But overall, it's been less than impressive. This offense has just found a way in a lot of games. And when the offense can't find a way, the defense usually lets the game slip. But overall, this is a matchup that really could go either way. With that, let's get the prediction here for Texas A&M and Oklahoma State coming up here in the Texas Bowl. And yeah, this is one to keep an eye on. And in the end, I'm going with Texas A&M 31-27. I went back and forth on this, but my thing is I feel like Texas A&M is the more complete team against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a team that's got a strong offense. They've got an incredible running back in Ole Gordon, but I mean, it's for Texas A&M, they're a strong team on offense and on defense. Oklahoma State is a strong team, especially on offense, but the way this defense has slipped down the stretch definitely does concern me. Texas A&M lost LSU and allowed 42 points in that game to finish out the regular season, but I feel like overall Texas A&M has been a better team down the stretch. And once again, I know they're 7-5, but this is a team that just feels better than a 7-5 team. So I'm going to say Texas A&M 51%, so really as close as it gets. I'm taking the over for this one and Texans to cover the spread in the end. I think Aggies find a way and what should be a pretty competitive, good matchup. But with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next one.